Good afternoon. How are you doing? Good? Really? Actually, it's not like that though. Yeah. The average 78. It's above for a graduate school. Do you know what score will be the benchmark for you to, it means that you fail? It's not 60. Yeah, it's 70. Not 40, all right? It's 70. Yeah, if you are great, your score is below 70. Yeah, 70, it's what, B minus or what? Yeah, actually, below 70, that means that that course you are failed. Yeah, yeah, 70. It's different from undergraduate. You are not kids anymore. All right. Okay, so we have 2 students above 90 and 9 students, between 80 to 89. Yeah, okay. This time I just give you, in total the grade is 100. Not I do not do any inflation. Okay, for your score. Right, 70 to 79. We have 4 students. Yeah, and some students, need to be improved a little bit. Right, so as usual, I award a little bit for like top 3 students, because of their hard work. Okay, so then let me give you back for the answer sheet, and then your notes. I think I also give it back to you a bit later. Right, it's on the way. And guess who get the highest score? Yeah, congratulations. The highest one gets the big box of chocolate. The second one is, the name is a little bit complicated. The student ID number 6108333026. Bang. Is this you? A little bit surprised. Then the third one goes to Senya. Okay, and of course some more students are above 80. Very good. Z Catherine? Yeah. Yeah, surprise. Yeah. Insa? Eva? And NGUYN? Huh? Huh? Yeah, this is you. Your student ID 35. And this one is also about 80. What? Yeah? Yeah? Good job then. Nabila? Hardy? Yep. And Rizka? And Rosinha. Sebastian? Jack, yeah, Jack. Mei Belkis? Okay. Right, and then I will quickly show you the I'll quickly show you the answer. Okay. Okay, if you have this type A question, then the multiple choice, the first one goes to A, second C, 3 B, 4 B, 5 C, 6 C, 7 B, 8 C, 9 B, 10 B, 11 B, 12 A, 13 D, 14 A, 15 B, 16 C, 17 C, 18 A, 19 A, 20 B. Right? So this is a type A question, but if you have this type B question, the first one is B, second A, 3 D, 4 A, 5 B, 6 D, 7 C, 8 A, 9 A, 10 B, 11 A, 12 C, 13 B, 14 B, 15 C, 16 C, 17 B, and 18 C, 19 B, 20 B, right? And for the true and false, type A question, first one true, second true, 3 false, 4 true, 5 true, 6 true, 7 false, 8 false, 9 false, 10 false. Okay, and for the type B question, the true and false. The first one, true. Second, false. 3, false. 4, false. 5, false. 6, true. 7, true. 8, false. 9, true. 10, true. Right? And for the AC question, both are the same. The first question, okay, what is human resources management and how it's related to an organization competitive advantage? Actually, it's also in our PowerPoint slides. Right? Yeah, the first one, I think the definition. It's not that hard. And the second one, either you answer it by this two different perspectives as we address in the class, or if you elaborate for it in a logical way, I think you also get some credits then, right? So yeah, this is the main issue you have to address for it will be actually for the human capital is kind of the competitive advantage for an organization. Yeah. So then this human capital, of course, you can use this we call it resources-based view. They have this 4 different characteristics: RVIN, rare, valuable, and I indicates immutability, and then N is non-substitutability. right? Because for this human capital, they are, kind of have this, if they are really talented employees, so then they are kind of this, kind of very special, valuable assets for each organization. Yeah, so then, of course, it also bring the competitive advantage for the organization then, right? And the second one, ABC Restaurant, started as chain store some years ago. However, the employee turnover keeps high, which is a hidden problem to the CEO. And if you were the new human resources manager, briefly describe what might be the appropriate testing, selection, or interviewing tools to use for choosing the right employee and reduce the turnover rate then. Yeah, well, because this is belong to the service industry, and then if you address for example, might need to, because the high turnover rate, then the problem could be this and that, and then, for example, they start, from this at the beginning, the testing process. Well, you can use some different testing tool, for example, personality tests or some other test tool, and then, later in the selection or the interview process, you can also use some sort of situational interview questions, try to select for the right employee that you need for your organization. It also help, you to reduce the turnover rate then. Yeah, so then it does not have like kind of absolute right answer, only if like you analyze it in a logical way, then you also get some credits then. Yeah, but then if you feel like kind of, well, I feel like I write in a very, kind of knowledgeable way and also logical way, but then you don't get the credit, then later you can come to check with me. Okay, and then the third one I think is also relatively easy, yeah, because I let you bring the hard copy for the reading and also the case. Yeah, if you kind of pre-check for the reading and case, I think it won't be that hard for you to answer for these two questions. What is the MCT? I think this one is so easy. Yeah, it's just a terminology. Okay, multi-culture team, right? And what are the three dimensions? Yeah, this is also relatively easy. And then they just need to briefly elaborate for those three concepts, yeah, in the readings. And then if you elaborate for it in a, kind of just the concept in the logical way, we also get each dimension, counts for three points. Yeah, so then if you elaborate for the concept clearly, yeah, and I think you also get some credit from that. And the fourth one is, this is one of the case questions, yeah, from the case. Yeah, and then I want you to use the integrated approach, yeah, which is I think after the team's presentation, I also summarized it a little bit in the blackboard, even though at that time I think we were a little bit hurried. Yeah, so then I think if you have the concept, you can also, summarize it, by yourself, by three different, like, process, remember? Yeah, so at that time I draw something on the blackboard, yeah, so yeah, this one is also not that hard though then. Yeah. So as you can see, if you pay attention to class, yeah, then it's not that difficult though, right? Yeah. Okay. Yep. So then that's all for our first quiz. So you can check for the accuracy, like if it's the grading is it's accurate or not. If it's some wrong, like miscalculation, like kind of some shortage of the points, yeah, then later you come to let me know. But then, kind of give you a little bit more points, then you can, Yeah, keep silence. Don't let me know. That's also okay. All right. Yeah, you get more credit than you expected. All right. Okay, so then, yeah, if you have any questions, then we check for it later during the break then. Yeah, because today I want to use, today we have one reading presentation and one case presentation. Yeah, so then, and for the topic that we need to lecture for today, it's relatively easy then. So then I would like to use like about half an hour to finish it. Yeah. So then our following two sections, we can be more focused on our reading and also case presentation then. Okay. So today the topic is related to training. Okay. Yeah. In this part, we have three different issues. One is training and developing employee, and the second one is our topic 7, related to performance management and appraisal. This is also one of the most important topic. All right, we will cover for that next week. Managing careers, okay, for all this, related to the training part, okay, because for example, for a company to provide a training program actually is so highly related to their performance evaluation. Actually after the performance evaluation, so then the supervisor can know about each employees, for example, if they have the deficiency. Okay, so then they can provide some training program for those employees. They have the skill gap, okay, deficiencies, right? So here, okay, we already move on to the third main theme in the human resources management here. Okay, right? And for the training for each organization at the beginning, for the new employee, after all this selection process, then you're gonna have the new staff come to work for your organization, right? Yeah. So then at the beginning, they will have this orientation on board for this new employee. Yeah, I think for this part is also relatively easy. Okay. In any case, for example, for those of you are new student here, do you get this orientation from school? You do, right? Yeah. And of course, this process, for some employee or for some students, they might not take it seriously, but actually it's very important. Guess what? If you are the new employee, you just a new staff in this organization, but then for the organization, they do not provide you this orientation. How do you feel? Do you feel good? I don't think that is good, all right? Because you feel like kind of the company take you seriously. Actually, they had some cases, it mentioned about there's some employee, maybe because of the company's policy or what, then this employee, did not get this orientation, new employees orientation. So then, of course, for this new employee, they feel a little bit kind of ignored, okay, from the organization. So then, of course, as the new staff, do you think we will stay in this company long? I don't think so. I don't think you will have this engagement to the organization. All right, so even though it's quite easy and it's quite simple, yeah, so then it's the process is quite important. They indicate to provide a new employee with some background information, okay, about the company itself, for example, illustrate a little bit for the organizational culture, as well as during the orientation, what will they do for most of the company?
Training.
Introduce some department head to the new employee, right? Yeah, that's important. Okay, that even though, for example, you are recruited by the marketing department, but then in the this orientation, they might introduce, bring this, department's manager, different departments manager, come to these orientation meetings to introduce them to that each new staff know about them, right? Because later at work, you might gonna have this opportunity, this kind of collaboration, okay, right? So, yeah, that the new employee feel more welcome and they can get some basic information about the personnel policies and benefits, etc. Okay, these are important, right? Understand a bit more about the organization, for example, culture, strategy, vision of the culture, sort of, right? Okay, and it will cover for all this. I think I will skip this. So then, overview for the training process. Okay, why the company need to provide this training program? Okay, as we mentioned, right? This training is a method used to give either new staff or current employee, right? New staff, of course, the orientation, but the current employee, how do you know what kind of training program that you need to provide for all this current employee, right? Of course, there are some approaches for you to know, because for example, for this employee A and for employee B, what they need might be different then, all right? So later we will talk about it. Okay, so then the skills that they need to perform the job well. Okay, so for example, like if for the company, they install a new computer system, right? So then of course that is necessary to, to have this training program, okay, for all employees within the organization, because they need to let them get familiar with this, new computer program. That's necessary then. And on the other hand, as we mentioned, after performance evaluation, then as a supervisor, you know about which is this particular employee, he or she has some skill gap. So then, you also help him or her, to participate for some particular training program. So then they can make it up for this skill gap. Or after the performance evaluation, as a supervisor, you might find out this employee, he or she is quite talented, but then he or she might not be that talented in your department, right? So then, well, you can consult with this employee a little bit to make another career path for this employee, which is also good then, right? Okay, so that is the issue. So here, that's for training. Actually, it has two different purposes. Why training? The first one, to prevent from what?
To prevent the employee to do a non-value added activity because they don't know what they want to do and how to do the task.
Yeah, the concept is kind of accurate, but then in a simple way, we call it negligent training liability. That is, this kind of liability is from who? From which side? The
Employee.
The company, the employer side, which indicates as the employer. If you do not provide sufficient training for your employee, and your employee, for example, get injured from that job, then you are responsible for that. All right? Okay, negligence, training, liability. Right, and the second one is to improve what?
Performance.
Yes.
To improve company performance.
Performance, to improve the company's performance, right? So both of them are more related to the employer side, all right? Okay, prevent from this liability. And then the second one, of course, it will be related to the performance then. Right, so then, as we mentioned, there are some process, okay, related to the training and development process. Then how, for this training program, what will be the whole process, okay, for, either for the HR department to accomplish it, okay. At the beginning, of course, they need to find out the need, the training need, okay, so then they need to analyze what the training needs, and then after that, they, implement what, design for the training program and develop for some courses that they need and implement for it, okay. Actually, for this part will belong to the implementation. Then the final step will be related to controlling part, okay, evaluate for the effectiveness, okay, of this some particular training program, right? So then, as we mentioned earlier, we need to find out skill gapping, okay, that is the purpose then. Okay, so then for the training need analysis, okay, there are two different types of training need analysis. One will be in a more strategic way. What does it mean by the strategic way? It also you can try to link to, there's some issue we addressed with earlier. Strategic way indicates for some company, for example, currently they are in some particular business. Okay, for example, for some company, okay, let's say we also mentioned about like Starbucks. Currently, they're in the coffee industry, right? Yeah, but then their strategic goal, earlier they they diversify a little bit into, they sell about what kind of product? For some particular city? Alcohol, yeah, exactly. So then that is also kind of their strategic goal, right? So for them to sell this, this alcohol, it's totally different from the coffee, right? So probably for them, the current employee, they do not have any knowledge about alcohol. So then they might need to provide the current employee some knowledge about alcohol. Otherwise, maybe the customer, will ask for some information about this, different, alcohol drinks, okay, or wines, or for example. So then you should be knowledgeable. The employee should be knowledgeable to answer the customer's question. All right. So that is related to the strategic training needs, and that indicates they will focus on identifying the training that employee will need to fill this new future jobs. Okay. If your company have this strategic goal, all right, so then you provide this training program for them. But then the other one will be for current need. The current need indicates it's nothing related to your strategic goal, all right? Then it will be focused on, like, you need to identify the task, okay? Job analysis, task analysis, okay? Then it will be related to the job description as well as job specification then, all right? So then these are two different needs analysis. Yeah, so then identifying for the current training need analysis, another one is to identify current employees' needs. It's related to, mainly performance analysis, right? Okay, performance analysis indicates analyzing current employees' training need and verifying this significant performance what?
Deficiency.
Deficiency, right? Deficiency, right? We already talked about it. And then one of the most important issues is to distinguish what, the employee either has this can't do or won't do problem. These two, can you identify the difference between these two? Yeah? So what would be the solution for the can't do and won't do problem? If the employee has this can do problem, yeah?
Can be problem, the company can provide training.
Okay, very good. Can do indicates they do not have that kind of skill. So you can provide them the training, some training program, all right? How about the won't do? Yeah?
I think the company should give them some benefits so to motivate them to do what they don't want at the current time.
Provide them some more benefit, yeah, to motivate the employee to work a little bit harder, right? That's a won't do. Won't do is a kind of the motivation problem. It's nothing related to their capability, right? It's something to do with their motivation. Okay, for some employee, even though they are competent enough, but then they do not have the motivation. Okay, for example, they feel like, they got, kind of the pay is below the industry average. Yeah, so then you feel like kind of get some other job opportunity, but currently you haven't got the offer yet. You keep trying, but then you haven't got this new job offer yet. So then for you feel like you do not have any motivation to work here and work for here anymore, or like you have a bad relationship with your supervisor. Then of course it also influences a little bit, for your, like the motivation. Yeah, or like for example, you have good performance, but then you have this supervisor, he or she always take your performance as his or hers, right? Yeah. So then, of course, that also demotivate, yourself a little bit, right? So then there are solutions, yeah, for this different problem. Can do, of course, is easier, right? And won't do, well, you have to identify, know a little bit more. You can have a little bit interview, with this employee and know about the problem. Then, well, you can try to, help them solve the problem. Maybe change the reward system, if that is related to the payment then, right? So then, yeah, as we mentioned, actually this one is easier then. Can't do problem is easier. Okay, so then there are several different ways to identify how our current employee is doing, okay, such as, yeah, this is also related to need analysis. Conduct the performance evaluation. Our following topic, we will talk about it like through supervisor or through peer evaluation, self-evaluation, or 360-degree performance evaluation, or some job-related performance data, etc. Okay, observation or test, attitude survey, right? So this can help you identify about this current employee, what are they doing? Then you can know a little bit, you can conduct more accurate need analysis. Or you can also use the competency model, remember? The competency model we addressed right earlier, like this KSA issue, yeah, this pyramid. Okay, this is a competency model. Of course, it will be based on what job position. Then, of course, it will have different competency models. So then it lists over here. Okay, like the